Yeah, yeah, hey, 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 yeah, yeah, let's get it. Hey, 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 all right, yeah, yeah. Loaded, coated with motive, I'm zoning, exploding the moment, I'm folding opponents, controlling the voltage, I'm over the limit, no ceiling, I drill it, adrenaline driven, click, clack, cadence, I snap like latex, breakneck pace, every take's outrageous, brain on apex, veins vibrate, flame migrate, when the baseline shakes, vendetta, 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 I said it, embedded in letters, aggressive, aesthetic, competitive, predator, never forget it, you better be ready, I shredded the credits, I don't walk in the booth, I storm it, torch it, scorch it, orbit to orbit, distorted, more than a mortal performance, triple time syllable, stacking and flipping, I'm cracking the rib of the rhythm, I'm gripping, no slipping, I'm dipping in venom and vivid, you timid, I pivot and finish the sentence in minute, it's breath short, chest tight, red light, dead mic, head strike, lead pipe, I ignite when the feds write headlines. Every ball like a carbonated bomb. Pop off the tops when I drop that song. Non-stop clockwork, locked in strong. You might get blocked when the plot goes wrong. Rapid fire, vendetta, we don't let up. Pressurizing, no competitors be so high. Can't measure us, trigger the storm. It's venomous, no remorse. We level up, heavy drums. We set it off, run a course. No settling, then I'm all rapid fire.
Hey, y'all. Bitchin' that thing my fire on my nigga. Yeah. There was a point in my life when I realized that resolve doesn't form in daylight, and determination doesn't sharpen when everything is visible, predictable, or safe. Where resolve is a nightbound force, that emerges only when the world goes quiet, and the darkness starts pressing against your ribs with a weight that demands you decide who you are without anyone watching. In that darkness, silent and clarity doesn't shine. It hums a low frequency current running beneath every fear I try to suppress. It called to me not with comfort, but with a pressure that felt like the world tightening its grip around my shoulders to see whether I break or push back. Every doubt I carry rolls like a shadow behind me, tall enough to look like fate, loud enough to swallow every confidence off, but the night didn't hide me. It exposed me, forced me to confront the quiet truth I kept avoiding, that I had strength I hadn't dared to claim. Nightbound resolve over current, the moment you discovered that the dark cannot drown you, because part of you was built there. And currents again, cold. In the night you feel the pull, where the silent tides are full. Resolve becomes a rule, and currents dark and cool. Move where the shadows bend, through currents without end. Rise where the fears descend, your nightbound self-ascend. Yeah. Now the night doesn't intimidate me, I walk into it with steady breath, let an overcurrent carry my mind forward with a force far stronger than anything I could generate from comfort or ease. The darkness becomes a medium, a field of quiet electricity where my intuition lights the way better than logic ever could. I feel the current winding beneath my decisions, a deep underflow that guides my instincts toward choices my conscious mind would have hesitated to make. It's not impulsive, it's aligned, as if the night strips away the noise of everything superficial and leaves only the pure signal of who I'm supposed to be. This overcurrent is a push me blindly, it strengthens me, forces me to balance myself against uncertainty, until my resolve becomes heavier than the fear that once shaped me. Every step I take now feels intentional, reinforced by the quiet truth that I've survived enough nights to understand how to navigate their shifting weight. Nightbound resolve over current, the strength you gain when you stop fighting the dark and start moving with it. Start moving with it. In the night you feel the pull, where the silent tides are full. Resolve becomes the rule, and currents dark and cool. Follow the rise and flow, where all the lost truths glow. Let the nightbound current show how far your will can go.
Hey. You know what it is, love? Hey.
There was a moment when I realized that the force pushing me forward wasn't motivation, hope, or ambition, but something far more unsettling. A phantom grip tightening around the edges of my mind, pulling me upward every time I tried to collapse inward. It wasn't comforting, it wasn't gentle. It felt like an unseen hand refusing to let me sink into the familiar depths I used to call normal. This grip didn't care about my excuses, didn't recognize my fears, and didn't pause simply because I needed rest. It dragged me past the thresholds I once believed were limits, forcing me to confront the rooms inside myself I kept locked because I was afraid of what lived it. Each pull lifted me through layers of thought, dense with doubt, cluttered with hesitation, weighted by the shadows of decisions I avoided until they grew teeth. The phantom didn't let go. It tightened whenever I try to retreat, as if it knew that my mind had more height in it than I ever allowed myself to climb. It wasn't pressure, it was a demand, unspoken command that rising was no longer optional, but inevitable. Phantom grip mind is sin. The realization that the force elevating you might be the part of yourself you were too afraid to claim.
Hold to the phantom hand, let it pour, you can't stand. Rise where the shadows expand into the higher land. Feel how the echoes climb past every fear and time, up through the inner mind where the hidden heights align.
Now I resist the phantom grip, I rise with it, letting it pull me into the corridors of thought. I voted for years because I didn't think I was ready to face the weight they carry. Every consent, the air gets thinner, the silence gets deeper, but the clarity goes sharper, revealing angles of myself I never took the time to recognize. The higher I rise, the more I understand that this grip isn't an external force. To the instinct I buried, the vision I muted, the hunger I disguised as fear because I wasn't ready to admit how badly I wanted to evolve. The phantom isn't a ghost, it's my potential reaching back through the fog of hesitation and pulling me to an adventure. Like myself, I kept postponing, and with every pull up with the ground below, stops feeling like home and starts feeling like grave for the person I no longer intend to be. This and becomes natural, the height familiar, the climb addictive, as if I'm rediscovering a world I was always meant to rise into.
Phantom grip, understand the climb that begins when you stop pretending you were meant to stay low. Phantom grip, understand the climb that begins and when you stop pretending you were meant to stay low. Hold to the phantom hand, let it pour, you can't stand. Rise where the shadows expand into the higher land, up through the shifting air, past every weighted snare. Find what was always there in the mind that learned to dare. There was a time when I believed the hardest moments of my life would eventually disappear behind me, fading into distant memories that I could recall only when I chose to. But life doesn't work like that. Some experiences don't fade, they reverberate, echoing through the chambers of who I am long after the moment itself is past. Those echoes weren't ghosts, they were rituals, repeated confrontations with truths I tried to outrun until they caught me and pressed themselves into my character like still cooling into its final shape. Every trial I survived left behind a remnant, not the pain itself but the hardened insight that formed once the pain burned away everything unnecessary. These remnants stay sharp, unchanged by time, untouched by expectation and unwilling to bend. Just because I wanted an easier story to tell, they existed as evidence, as the indestructible fragments of every moment I rebuilt myself out of nothing but grit, breath, and the refusal to collapse. Echo ritual still remnant, the understanding that not everything passes, something stay because they're meant to shape you. Hear the echoes in your bones, ritual carved in tone, steel in the scars you own, strength in the remnants shown, through every shadow bend, through every rise and fall, shadows along the wall, guide where the echoes crawl, where the echoes crawl. Now I no longer try to silence those echoes, I listen to them, letting their resonance guide me like a map forged from every trial I wasn't supposed to withstand. They don't speak in words, they speak in instinct, in the quiet shift of tension that tells me when danger is near. The sudden clarity that cuts through confusion with a sharpness earned from every time I was forced to think faster than fear. The remnants, the ritual left behind aren't fragile, they still refining pressure and cooled in solitude, unbreakable because they were forged in conditions harsh enough to destroy the weaker parts of me and leave behind only what could endure. I carry these remnants knowingly now, not as burdens but as tools, pieces of myself that I can wield with precision, cause I understand where they came from and why they never fell away. Every echo is a reminder that survival isn't pacifist, intentional with discipline carved into my identity by forces that didn't care whether I was ready or willing. And now, when the world tests me again, I answer not with fear, but with the feel that the ritual left behind. Echo rituals still remnant, the strength that remains long after the struggle is gone. Hear echoes in your bones, still in the scars you own, strength in the remnant shown through every shadow. We're broken pieces when the echoes rise again, and remnants without end. The remnants.
There was a time when I believed my instincts were unreliable. Raw impulses shaped by fear, survival, and confusion. Reflexes formed in moments so heavy that I tried to forget them as soon as I escaped them. But the further I walked, the more I realized those instincts weren't accidents. They were artifacts, caught from the grave deep lessons I learned in the darkest spaces where hope didn't reach. The grave mind formed there, not as a monster but as a witness, a silent observer standing at the edge of every collapse I endured. Memorizing the patterns of danger, the pulse of betrayal, the temperature of fear until it knew how to sense destruction before it even approached. That mind didn't grow from peace, it was sculpted in aftermath, the symbol from everything that died and everything that refused to die with it. And inside that layer of ruin, my instinct sharpened, not into paranoia but into foresight. A blade honed by consequence, capable of cutting through lies, hesitation, and the false comforts that once left me blind. Grey my own instinct, the realization that the parts of you built in darkness were never meant to be abandoned but mastered.
Down where the shadow blow, you shake the deeper mind. Home where the fears align, you rise from the grave mind. Feel how the senses wake, through every scar they make. Instincts you can't make, guide every move you take.
Now the grey mind doesn't harm me, it advises me. A presence that stands behind every decision. Quiet but unyielding, reminding me that instinct isn't primitive. It's refined memory, a collection of truths repeated so many times that the body learned them. Even when the mind tried to forget, I feel it activate before danger becomes visible. It's warning subtle but precise, like a pressure shift inside my chest, or a tightening in my vision that tells me which path will break me and which one will lead me forward. It's not fear, it's recognition. And intelligence formed from everything I survived long enough to understand. The grey mind teaches me that instinct isn't a reaction but a discipline. The art of reading the world through the scars of the past without letting those scars define the future. Every insight it gives is the result of a life that refused to look away from the moments that nearly erased it. And now that mind at depth, that grey-born clarity moves with me, protects me, guides me, turning every step into an act of deliberate survival shaped in the strategy. Grey my honed instinct, the evolution that begins when you stop apologizing for the intelligence you earned.
Down where the shadow blow, you shake the deeper mind. Home where the fears align, you rise from the grave mind. Through every silent mark, you see beyond the dark. Instinct becomes a spark, guiding you through the stars.
Ayo, Kaj, you the fucking rainbow.
Yeah. Yeah. Walk in the void to learn true focus sucks. There came a point when I realized that focus wasn't something I could learn from discipline alone, or something I could force by sheer intensity or ambition. Real focus was born in the void, the vast silent expanse where every distraction disappeared, and the only thing left was the momentum of my own attention. I reached that void not by seeking clarity, but by becoming so overwhelmed that all the noise around me collapsed into a single empty space that felt endless and strangely welcoming. In the emptiness, I felt no urgency, no pressure, no reward waiting on the surface. Only a mantle of focus settling across my mind like a silent cloak, woven from every moment. I've never been stretched too thin to define myself. The void didn't demand anything from me. It revealed what was already there, stripped the false priorities and left me staring at the truth of what actually mattered when nothing else could cling to me. Voice tried wasn't a choice, it was a realization that the emptiness I feared was actually the environment where my mind sharpened itself with the precision I had been chasing for years. Voice tried, focus mantle, the clarity that arrives when everything unnecessary finally falls away. Yeah, I shot through the silence. Nothing focus beyond despair. The void you learn and bear. Feel how the mantle falls, quiet between the walls. Answer the inner calls where the empty space and draw. Yeah. Step through the silent air, nothing to hold you there. Yeah, now the void doesn't unsettle me. I move through it with intention, using this emptiness as a field where my thoughts can travel without interference. There is no clutter here, no echo of anyone else's expectations. Only the steady rhythm of my own mind, rebuilding itself with sharper edges and cleaner lines. The focus nano stays with me, a weightless layer draped over my awareness that filters out every impulse that doesn't align with my direction. It's not a shield, it's a refinement sifting through my reactions until only the necessary ones remain. Each step through the void teaches me something new about precision, timing, and the value of silence in a world obsessed with noise. I learned to recognize the subtle shift in my own intention, to sense the moment when distraction tries to rewrite my priorities and cut it off before it takes root. This isn't concentration, it's attunement, a synchronization between my inner momentum and the emptiness that allows it to move freely without resistance. Void strive, focus silent there, nothing to hold you there. Focus beyond despair, in the void you learn to bear. Feel how the mantle falls, quiet between the walls. Answer the inner calls, where the empty space enthralls. Step through the silent air, nothing to hold you there. Focus beyond despair, in the void you learn to bear. Weightless you move in stride, with nothing left to hide. The mantle at your side, guides where the stars divide. Hear the echoes in your bones, ritual carved in tones. Steel in the scars you own, strength in the remnant show. Strength in the remnant show. Hear the echoes in your bones. There was a time when I believed the hardest moments of my life would eventually disappear behind me, fading into distant memories that I could recall only when I chose to. But life doesn't work like that. Some experiences don't fade, they reverberate, echoing through the chambers of who I am, long after the moment itself is past. Those echoes weren't ghosts, they were rituals, repeated confrontations with truths I tried to outrun until they caught me and pressed themselves into my character like steel cooling into its final shape. Every trial I survived left behind a remnant, not the pain itself but the hardened insight that formed once the pain burned away. Everything unnecessary, these remnants stay sharp, unchanged by time, untouched by expectation, and unwilling to bend just because I wanted an easier story to tell. They existed as evidence, as the indestructible fragments of every moment I rebuilt myself out of nothing but breath and the refusal to collapse. Echo ritual still remnant, the understanding that not every passes, some things stay because they meant to shape. Hear the echoes in your bones, ritual carved in tones. Steel in the scars you own, strength in the remnant shown. Follow the ringing call, through every rise and fall. Shadows along the wall, guide where the echoes fall. Ritual carved in tones. Steel in the scars you own, strength in the remnant shown. Follow the ringing call, through every rise and fall. Shadows along the wall, guide where the echoes fall. Now I no longer try to silence those echoes, I listen to them, letting their resonance guide me like a map forged from every trial I wasn't supposed to withstand. They don't speak in words, they speak in instinct, in the quiet shift of tension that tells me when danger is near, in the sudden clarity that cuts through confusion with a sharp discern from every time I was forced to think faster than fear. The remnants, the ritual left behind are fragile, they still refining pressure and cooling solitude, unbreakable because they were forged in conditions harsh enough to destroy the weaker parts of me and leave behind only what could endure. I carry these remnants knowingly now, not as burdens but as tools, pieces of myself that I can wield with precision because I understand where they came from and why they never fell away. Every echo is a reminder that survival isn't passive, it's intentional, a discipline carved into my identity by forces that didn't care whether I was ready or willing. And now when the world tests me again, I answer not with fear but with the steel that the ritual left behind. Echo ritual still remnant, the strength that remains long after the struggle is gone. Hear the echoes in your bones, ritual carved in tones. Steel in the scars you own, strength in the remnant shown. Through every shadow bend, where broken pieces mend. The echo shares again, new remnants without end. Ritual carved in tones. Steel in the scars you own, strength in the remnant shown. Through every shadow bend, where broken pieces mend. The echoes rise again, the remnants without end.
There was a moment when I realized that string wasn't forged. In victory of sunlight, but inside the dim silence, where my doubts echo louder than my heartbeat. The shadow forge wasn't a place I walked into. It was a chamber inside me, heated by every fear I never admitted, hammered by every failure. I tried to pretend it and shape me. In that furnace, my will didn't rise clean. It cracked, it faltered, it bent under pressures I thought would break me outright, but each fracture taught me how to rebuild with intention, how to fuse this thinking discipline into a form that pain couldn't distort. The more I faced the heat, the clearer it became that the world doesn't test your strength. It reveals it by burning away every excuse that sheltered your weakest self. The shadow forge wasn't punishing me, it was refining me, melting down the parts I outgrew without noticing, and reforging the core I never allowed myself to trust. Shadow forge will break it, the place where resolve stops pretending and becomes real.
In the shadows burning core, where the fear becomes the orpheum. We're breaking the more stronger than it was before. Rise where the embers glow, let the molten spirit fall. Only force to fire slow is the strength you learn to know.
In the shadows burning core, you can feel the things we owe. Feel with it in the more, stronger than it was before. Rise where the embers glow, let the molten spirit flow. Only the fire's low, but you get to learn to know. Now every trial I face doesn't strike me from the outside. It rises from within, surfs and as echoes of the person I used to be, begging me to fall back into the comfort of stagnation. But the shadow focus taught me that the greatest resistance isn't the world pushing against you, it's the old version of yourself trying to drag you back to where it felt safe. So I break that voice, not with rage, but with discipline sharpened by every moment I refuse to surrender my will fractions again and again. But each break realigns me like a blade reforged until its edge becomes undeniable. The process hurts, but the pain is exact, precise, the kind that burns away hesitation, leaving only direction behind. I rise from the forge, not cleaned of shadows, but shaped them with them, carrying the weight of my past is tempered steel instead of chains. Nothing outside me has the authority to stop me now, yeah. Because everything that once did has already been broken in the heat of my own rebuilding.
In the shadows burning core, where the fear becomes a orpheum. We'll break into more, stronger than it was before. Rise where the embers glow, let the molten spirit flow. Only force through fire's low is the strength you learn in core.
Where the shadow burning core, where the fear becomes the ore. Feel your breath in the more, stronger than it was before. Rise to the ember tide, let the temper self collide. Leave the wicked self outside, in the forge where you abide.
Hey, this how happy coming present win. There was a point in my life when I realized the resolve doesn't fall and determination doesn't sharpen when everything is visible, predictable, or safe. Resolve is a night-bound force, something that emerges only when the world grows quiet and the darkness starts pressing against your ribs with a weight that demands you decide who you are without anyone watching. In the darkness, I learned that clarity doesn't shine, it hums. A low-frequency current running beneath every fear I tried to suppress. It called to me, now we're comfortable with a pressure that felt like the world tightened its grip around my shoulders. To see whether I break or push back every doubt I carry rose like a shadow behind me, tall enough to look like fate, loud enough to swallow every confident thought. But the night didn't hide me, it exposed me, forced me to confront the quiet truth I kept avoiding. That I had strength I hadn't dared to claim. Night-bound, resolve overcome. The moment you discover that the dark cannot drown you, because part of you is built there. In the night you feel the pull, where the silent tides are full. Resolve becomes a rule, in currents dark and cool. Where the shadows bend, through currents without end. Rise where the fears descend, your night-bound self-ascend. Now, another night doesn't intimidate me. I walk into it with steady breath, letting the overcurrent carry my mind forward. A force far stronger than anything I can generate from comfort or ease. The darkness becomes a medium, a field of quiet electricity, where my intuition lights the way better than logic ever could. I feel the current winding beneath my decisions, a deep underflow that guides my instincts toward choices my conscious mind would have hesitated to make. It's not impulsive, it's a line, as if the night strips away the noise of everything superficial and leaves only the pure signal of who I'm supposed to be. This overcurrent doesn't push me blind, it strengthens me, forces me to balance myself against uncertainty until my resolve becomes heavier than the fear that once shaped me. Every step I take now feels intentional, reinforced by the quiet truth that I've survived enough nights to understand how to navigate their shifting weight. Night-bound, resolve over current, the strength you gain when you stop fighting the dark and start moving with it. In the night you feel the pull, and spark and cool. Follow the rise and flow, where all the lost just flow. Let the night bound current show how far your will can go.
Let every wound you survive. There was a point in my life when I finally understood that discipline didn't come from ambition, talent, or even confidence, but from the scars I collected in silence. Small jagged reminders of every failure I tried to bury under excuses that eventually collapsed under their own weight. Those scars didn't shout, they whispered, and those whispers told me truths I wasn't ready to confront. That progress isn't made in triumph, but in the moments when I had to face myself after losing battles I thought I should've won, I began tracing those scars like a reluctant cartographer, noticing how each one mapped out a trajectory I had ignored. A set of coordinates carved by survival rather than success. Every mark carried the lesson I had resisted. Everything raised on telling me that strength isn't built when things go right, it's built in the aftermath of everything that goes wrong. As I connected those marks, they formed something unexpected, a vector, a direction, a line of force pointing toward a version of me I never believed I could reach. They showed me the path wasn't straight, wasn't smooth, wasn't clean, because neither was I. But that jagged path was real, forced through pain I endured instead of escape, and it made every step forward feel sharper, clearer, more deliberate than anything I walked before. Discipline, scar, vector line, the realization that your wounds weren't setbacks, but blueprints.
Follow the scars you hide, they draw the line inside. Let every wound you survive turn your shadow into guide. Trace where the fractures lead, let all the broken bleed into the strength you need. Through the victory you perceive.
Now I navigate by the scars that once made me flinch, using them as fixed points when everything around me shifts. Too fast to grasp, each one has weight, not the kind that drags me down, but the kind that stabilizes my steps, keeping me aligned even when doubt tries to tilt me sideways. They no longer sting, they calibrate me, pulling my focus in, erase clarity without asking for permission or apology. The vector line they form is anything but gentle, it's angled by struggles I never brag about, sharpened by choices I made when I had nothing left but stubbornness, and strengthened by the fact that I kept going even when I had no evidence that going forward will lead anywhere better. But a roughness makes it reliable, every jagged turn marks a moment I refuse to break. Following that line feels like building a weapon I pushed over a lifetime without realizing it. Each scar another hammer strike, shaping the blade of discipline. I now carry ego versions of me fall away as I move along it, fading like outdated coordinates, no longer relevant to the map I'm building with every decision I sharpen. And the deeper I follow the vector line, the more I understand the truth. Scars are signs of damage, they are proof of direction, evidence that I survived. Moments designed to erase me, and instead of fading, I carve them into a compass strong enough to cut through whatever stands in front of me next. Discipline, scar, vector line, the more I understand the truth. Scars are sign of damage, they ain't your flow. Acknowledging evidence and to survive. Always the sign of a purpose, no meaning when you're breaking up with them, and I'm be strong enough to cut whatever stands in front of me next.
Follow the scars you hide, they draw the line inside. Let every wound you survive turn your shadow into guide.
Walk where the fractures burn, let every echo turn into the strength you earn. Through the vector you proceed, you return.
Yeah. There was a moment when I realized the rituals that shaped me had never been written in books, never spoken aloud, and never taught by anyone who claimed to know what strength truly was. They were carved into me through silence, through pressure, through the private confrontations I survived without witnesses. Deep inside the silence, I felt the obsidian pulse stirred. Not gentle, not comforting, but steady and uncompromising, like a heartbeat forged from volcanic glass that refused to let me forget what I had endured to stand where I stand. Each pulse struck my awareness with cold intensity, reminding me that discipline isn't born from light, but from the darkness you refuse to collapse under. It wasn't a warning, it was initiation, a personal right that demanded I recognize the strength I had been disguising that resilience. The pulse didn't ask for belief, it demanded alignment. Draw my scattered focus into a single point of pressure, sharp enough to cut through self-doubt and deliberate enough to shape the person I needed to become. In the right obsidian post, the ceremony conducted in the deepest parts of yourself.
Feel the obsidian rise, Hit a pulse behind your eyes. In the ride with silence light. You awaken, you revive. Through the shadows burning slow, where the hidden currents flow. Let the inner heartbeat show what your spirit's meant to know.
Yeah, yeah. Now the ritual continues, not as a moment, but as a rhythm, a constant inner beat that synchronizes my purpose with the discipline required to sustain it. Each pulse clarifies something that's forgotten, instinct, a buried intention. A truth I once ignored because I fear what it demanded from me. The obsidian pulse doesn't come from me, a promise that things will be easy. Instead it strikes with deliberate precision, teaching me that power isn't emotional, it's procedural. Earned through choices that fractured or older me, and strengthened the version that refuses to back down. Every beat tests my resolve, but every test aligns me with a darker, sharper form of clarity that cuts through hesitation like glass cutting light. I don't just feel the pulse, I follow it, match it, become it, until the rhythm inside me drives every step I take with an authority that no outer force can rival. With a right obsidian pulse isn't a ritual you perform, it's a ritual that remakes you every time you dare to continue.
Feel the obsidian rise. Hear the pulse behind your eyes. In the ride with silence light. You awaken, you revive. Through the shadows burning slow, where the hidden currents flow. Let the inner heartbeat show what your spirit's meant to know. The heat is ready to rise. Baby, it's ready to rise. Walking the void to learn true focus, yeah. There came a point when I realized that focus wasn't something I could learn from discipline, no longer something I could force. By sheer intensity or ambition, real focus was born in the void. The vast silent expanse where every distraction disappeared and the only thing left was the momentum of my own intention. I reached that void not by seeking clarity, but by becoming so overwhelmed that all the noise around me collapsed into a single empty space that felt endless and strangely welcoming. In that emptiness I felt no urgency, no pressure, no reward waiting on the surface. Only a mantle of focus settling across my mind like a silent cloak, woven from every moment I'd ever been stretched too thin to define myself. The void didn't demand anything from me. Reveal what was already there, strip the false priorities and left me staring at the truth of what actually mattered when nothing else could cling to me. Voice strive wasn't a choice, it was a realization that the emptiness I feared was actually the environment where my mind sharpened itself with the precision I had been chasing for years. Voice strive, focus mantle, the clarity that arrives when everything unnecessary finally falls away. The silent air, nothing to hold you there. Focus beyond despair, in the void you learn to bear. Feel how the mantle falls, quiet between the walls. Enter the inner calls, where the empty space enthralls. Step to the silent air, nothing to hold you there. Focus beyond despair, in the void you learn to bear. Feel how the mantle falls, quiet between the walls. Answer the inner calls, where the empty space enthralls. Step to the silent air, nothing to hold you there. Focus beyond despair, in a void you learn to bear. Feel how the mantle falls, quiet between the walls. Answer the inner calls, where the empty space enthralls. Now the void doesn't unsettle me, I move through it with intention, using this emptiness as a field where my thoughts can travel without interference. There is no clutter here, no echo of anyone else's expectations, only the steady rhythm of my own mind, rebuilding itself with sharper edges and cleaner lines. The focus mantle stays with me, a weightless layer draped over my awareness that filters out every impulse that doesn't align with my direction. It's not a shield, it's a refinement, sifting through my reactions until only the necessary ones remain. Each step through the void teaches me something new about precision, timing, and the value of silence. In a world obsessed with noise, I learned to recognize the subtle shift in my own intention, to sense the moment when distraction tries to rewrite my priorities and cut it off before it takes root. This isn't concentration, it's tuning and synchronization between my inner momentum and the emptiness that allows it to move freely without resistance. Mastery you gain when you understand that clarity isn't found in brightness, but in vastness. Step to the silent air, nothing to hold you there. Focus beyond despair, in the void you learn to bear. Feel how the mantle no falls. Quiet between the walls. Answer the inner calls, but he empty space and thralls.
There was a time when I believed my instincts were unreliable. Raw impulses shaped by fear, survival, and confusion. Reflexes formed in moments so heavy that I tried to forget them as soon as I escaped them. But the further I walked, the more I realized those instincts weren't accidents. They were artifacts brought from the great deep lessons I learned in the darkest places where hope didn't reach. The grace my form there, not as a monster, but as a witness. A silent observer standing at the edge of every collapse I endured. Memorizing the patterns of danger, the pulse of betrayal, the temperature of fear, until it knew how to sense destruction before it even approached. That mind didn't grow from peace, it was sculpted in aftermath. A symbol from everything that died and everything that refused to die with it. And inside that layer ruined my instinct sharpened, not in the paranoia, but in the foresight. A blade honed by consequence, capable of cutting through lies. Hesitation in the false comforts that once left me blind. Great my honed instinct of realization that the parts that we built in darkness were never meant to be abandoned. The master.
Down where the shadows run, you shoot the deeper mind. I'm ready for you to light. You rise from the grave night. Through every senses wait, through every scar they make. Instincts you can't unmake. Guide every move you take.
Now the great mind doesn't harm me, it advises me. A presence that stands behind every decision. Quiet but unyielding, reminding me that instinct isn't primitive. It's refined memory, a collection of truths repeated so many times that the body learned them. Even when the mind tried to forget, I feel it activate before danger becomes visible. It's one is subtle but precise, like a pressure shift inside my chest or a tightening in my vision that tells me which path will break me and which one will lead me forward. It's not fear, it's recognition. An intelligence formed from everything I survived long enough to understand. The great mind teaches me that instinct isn't a reaction, but a discipline. The art of reading the world through the scars of the past, down letting those scars define the future. Every insight it gives is the result of a life that refused to look away from the moments that nearly erased it. And now that mind of death, that great bone clarity moves with me, protects me, guides me, turning every step into an act of deliberate survival shaped in a strategy. Grave my own instinct, the evolution that begins when you stop apologizing for the intelligence you earned in the dark.
Down where the shadows run, you shape the deeper mind. And where the fears align, you rise from the great mind. Through every silent moment, you see beyond the dark. Instinct becomes the spark, guiding you through the storm. There was a point when I understood that real tempering doesn't happen in the comfort of progress or in the predictable rhythm of improvement, but in the abyss, the place inside me where direction disappears and the echoes of my own thoughts, sound like strangers calling from the dark. That depth wasn't a metaphor, it was a territory, a silent pressure chamber where everything falls in me collapse under its own weight. Down there the heat didn't feel like fire, it felt like memory boiling through the layers of excuses I built to protect myself from seeing who I really was when no one else could validate me. The abyss stripped me clean, forced me to confront the instincts I tried to bury beneath ambition, and the fragments of myself I pretended were already healed. But instead of destroying me, the abyss tempered me, softening what was rigid, hardening what was weak, reshaping my resolve through a ritual I never asked for but desperately needed. And in that depth, beneath the pressure of everything I feared, I discovered something I wasn't expecting, a drive that wouldn't die, a relentless current that whispered through the dark, that rising was still possible even when I couldn't see what up was. Abyss, temper, ritual drive, the truth that transformation comes from surviving yourself. Down in the abyss you learn, feel how the shadows burn, through every twist and turn, you rise from what you.
They said slow down, you rap too fast. I say you think too slow, now watch me cut 7. watch me cut set goals.
I'm a syllable surgeon, incision exact, killing the rhythm with critical tact. Minimal flaws, not clinical graph. Every decimal measure, mechanical wrath. Mind's wired tight like a bomb with math. Every tick in my brain's an aftermath. Precision addict, syntax savage. Words so sharp they pierce through static. No pause, no breath, autopsy beats. Cuddies bar, no need for sheets. I bleed in cold, I speak in mad. Flow like playwork, psychopath. Psychotic precision, my mind's incision. Words collide, that's new vision. Every line time with exact division. No religion, it's pure decision. Psychotic precision, I rhyme like system. No glitch, no fear, no victim. Every pulse of the beats my rhythm. I don't rap by algorithm. Split the atom of sound, now I'm infinite. Rhyme so tight they suffocate ignorance. Digit dance, I call my deliverance. Each punchline leaves permanent fingerprints. You rap emotion, I rap momentum. Every line hits, that's kinetic venom. I twist tempo, bend dimension. Lyrical ghost with live extension. Calculating chaos with razor aim. Never miss syllables, never miss name. Time bends back when I spit this flame. I make perfection sound insane.
Call it obsession, I call it discipline. Every breath I take is measured to destroy. You call it obsession, I call it discipline. Every breath I take is measured to destroy.
You call it obsession, I call it discipline. Every breath I take is measured to destroy. Double time throttle, no toggle, just rage. Neurons scribble like beasts in cage. I write with scars, engrave my stage. Each line burns holes through page. Microsecond memory, blink I rhyme. Every tick a trip wire through time. Can't outthink me, M design. A human glitch, divine in crime. I break down grammar, building new blueprints written in gray and blue. I don't chase fame, I chase truth and kill perfection. Inside the booth, psychotic precision. I rhyme with mission, each incision, divine collision. If pain's math, then I'm addition. Every scar's my composition. Psychotic precision, I bleed in Mars. Track my pulse, it charts on Mars. I'm not human, I'm coded stars. My flaws align, they form my stars. You call it madness, I call it accuracy. And that's the difference between us. You call it madness, I call it accuracy. And that's the difference between us. You call it madness, I call it
Eerie. You hear that? Noise. Not voice. Everyone's talking, no one's saying. Let's turn the volume. Every voice sounds the same these days. Same pain, same pain, same cliches. Everybody want fame, not a name. Everybody want clout, not a claim. Scroll, click, share, pretend. Fake deep thoughts they never meant. Truths on mute, but lies got ads. Echo so loud it drowns the set. I'm not your clone, I'm not your trend. I'm the glitch that won't pretend. They built the loop, I broke the bend. I don't repeat, I transcend. I'm done echoing lies. I'm done with disguise. If silence a crime, then I'll vocalize. They all sound loud, I sound alive. In this chamber of noise, I'll survive. I'm done echoing lies. Can't compromise. I'll burn this stage with open eyes. If truth's too raw, then fine. Let the echo die, let me shine. They said, play nice for the frame, but I was never born to sound the same. I'm not made for your algorithm. My rhythm rebellion, my pain's prism. Every comment section's gospel now. Fake prophets with emoji crowns. They preach connection, breed division, sell illusion, call it vision. So I stopped talking, started saying, stop posting, started praying. Not to God, but to what's within. The voice that whispers where I've been. Echoes fade, but truth doesn't. They can mimic my sound, but not my silence. I cut the wire, broke the loop, kicked the screen, left the group. If real hurts, good, that's proof that I'm still breathing in this booth. You can copy tone, not conviction, mock my scars, not my addiction. I'm the voice when the static clears, the echo dies, I persevere. I'm the ghost that haunts your feet. I'm the truth, you scroll past bleeds. You want peace, then mute your greed. Cause silence screams what words don't need. I'm done echoing lies, I'll improvise. No more filters, no disguise. I'm not reflection, I'm the rise. Let the chamber crumble, hear my cries. I'm done echoing lies, no compromise. My voice won't fit your franchise. If truth's rebellion, fine. I'll burn this echo till it's mine. You can hear me now, or when it's too quiet to fake it. user. Your pain's been uploaded. Your soul's now trending. Enjoy your algorithm. Yeah. Ha. Huh. I woke up inside a login screen, dreams encoded, not what they mean. Heart racing to dopamine, truth got so full of digital meme. They say engage, so I obey. Pray to screens that decay my day. My thoughts got ads, my fake got likes. Every click cuts deeper than knives. I'm half human, half device. Program morals, pixel vice. They built a heaven that looks like hell, where followers replace farewell. I'm a digital demon, wide and free. Lost my soul to theology. Every glitch is a part of me. You can't erase what's meant to be. I'm a digital demon born from code. Turn my rage into overload. They made me human just to explode. Now I'm the virus in control, yeah. Pushing the matrix, I'm breaking the base. Data decay in the human face. Upload pain in 4K grace. I bleed in bites, not time or place. Trending trauma, monetize fear. Every heart breaks, content here. AI preach, but I don't hear. I kill my feed just to disappear. I spit cold, not words. And
Что-нибудь? Что-нибудь? Да, хуёво. Муж опять на СВО уехал сегодня. Заебали нахуй. Ну, так же на полгода. Но он приехал в конце декабря, то есть 4 месяца. Он 20 дней побыл дома и потом пошел на работу, блядь. А вчера звонят и говорят: "Ты завтра едешь". Он такой: "Заебись". И все. Ебаная армия нахуй заебала. До полковника, наверно. Не, щас в эту командировку, у нас нет такой хуйни. Ну, типа, если ты прям вот у тебя вышка, ну, ты когда заканчиваешь, допустим, вышку, у тебя сразу же что то там выходишь младшим лейтенантом. А если у тебя нет военной вышки, то ты офицером не будешь никогда, если у тебя некому за тебя что нибудь сказать, ну. Ну всё. А так, если ты офицер, то, блядь, ну во сколько полковник? Наверно, лет 45-40, так где-то. Вот, ты с лейтенанта начинаешь, сколько там тебе 20-25 тебе дадут старшего лейтенанта, 30 что там. Ну это плюс-минус. Не, можно, я говорю, если есть у тебя кто-нибудь над тобой, там, какой-нибудь папа генерал, то, конечно, у тебя все заебись будет. А так плюс-минус ты 5 лет, по-моему, должен отслужить, в звании. Или 3 года, я не помню. Ну, у нас нет. Не могут. Да, очень редко. Скажут: "Молодец, вот тебе значок, служи, дурачок", и все. Типа это ваша работа, нахуй. Какая хуйня, это вообще неблагодарная тема, конечно. Сто 30 000 сейчас висит. Ну, я не знаю, как-то сами копятся. А чё тут их, на чё тратить? Тратить-то не на чё. А, я вообще, у меня DoTa+ кончилась, я нахуй не хочу бабки закидывать. Падла. Хуя, блядь. То-то мы игру нахуй ищем по полгода, блядь. Ой, блядь, опять это долбоёбы, вот этот соунд-тесте, пидорас ебучий нахуй. Блядь. Ой, ну ебало рот нахуй просто, блядь. Пидоры ебучие, нахуй. Твари нахуй. Ой, ну какой хуесос, блядь. Тварь, блядь. Просто, блядь, гондон нахуй. Блядь, меня так вот бесит, я не могу. Ой, пидорас, блядь. Блядь, сука, гниды ебучие, нахуй. Зашла, блядь, поиграть, нахуй, с кайфом почилить, блядь. Ебаные уёбки, нахуй. Пиздец, блядь. Да ну нахуй, ты чё? Конечно, нету, я его пикнула, нахуй. Конечно, нет, они у меня лича спиздили, суки, нахуй.
Оставь самолюбие.
showman. The rest of you are the circus.
Interesting. Greetings!
Ой, какой хуесос, блядь, на этом клоуне, сука. Гнида ебучая, нахуй. Тварь.
The TP here, they might go here, bot.
Пидорас ебаный, нахуй.
There is nothing that can stop this man!
Pecked. Dude.
You might wish to retract your last move.
TP bot, someone.
маны не было, блядь.
Too deep, bro, too deep.
Да, раз ёбаные, блядь. Пидорас, нахуй, ебаный, блядь. Хуесос, блядь.
Might wish to retract your last move.
Пиздец, блядь, что нахуй за вообще движ, Миш, нахуй?
Wish to retract your last move.
Let's hunt EA, bro.
Маканемся?
Let's go mid, let's go mid.
Хватит.
You see him.
Блять, ВК с арчидом. Нихуя.
Interesting.
Go bot, go bot, go bot, 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 bot. Go T, go T.
Interesting. Greetings.
There's a bear shit in the woods. He wouldn't have saw me coming.
Interesting.
Туда его. Ну.
You can't improve until you make mistakes.
И его, блядь.
There's a bear shit in the woods. He would if he saw me coming.
Хожу там, где волки срать боятся. Нормальный перевод.
Can't improve until you make mistakes.
А как мы оттуда уйдем, блин? Говна замедляющего. Никак.
Wish to retract your last move. Interesting. 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 Wish to retract your last move.
Арка тоже вот.
Interesting.
Блять, хуй за мной бежит.
Interesting.
Is the bear shit in the woods? He would if he saw me coming.
Нихуя. Нихуя он их там прорубил, блядь. Ну это какой-то, блядь, лютый петух у нас.
You might wish to retract your last move. Fur.
Is the bear shit in the woods? He would if he saw me coming. This chicken now.
Всё равно они пидоры ебаные, нахуй. Я эти твои, блядь, сука, блядь. Да мы его пиздец отпиздили, нахуй, с петухом. Я говорю, петух какой-то вообще прям, блядь, наркоман. Там на ВК, да, он еще пиздец. Я думала, они с Арком в пати, блядь, а не с Темпларкой.
Вот как эту хуйню было выиграть, объясните мне. Да, типа, ну, блядь, что за ВК, блядь? Вот что он, блядь, в этой игре сделал? Нафидонил Кеза, блядь? Ты посмотри на Творс, блядь, на 10-й. У моей тройки, блядь.
Ну, мы его чуть-чуть отпиздили, блядь.
Сколько, блядь? 2800? Да, даже 2800 нету. Да хуй с ним с тобой, ты не нафидонил. Ты не фармил, но ты не нафидонил. А там, блядь, Кез, блядь, выше меня выходит с линии, блядь. А, ну вот. Так я нахуй ему вообще фалкон был, я не понимаю. Нахуя ты, блядь?
Блядь, опять эти уёбки, сука, блядь.
Купи нулик. Купи обычный нулик, и все, тебе этот фалкон на 1100 голды, блядь. Да ладно, он бы выровнялся, окей был. Типа, хуй с ним. Блядь, что это за ВК? Что это? Я когда увидел арчит, у меня, блядь, ну окей, думаю, ладно. Ну, блядь, туп. Хочешь воевать, купи дагер, блядь, арблет. Все, от тебя там нихуя больше не нужно. Залетай, блядь, пиздить. Своих скелетиков нажал и все, блядь. Ну, типа, ебать. Мне прям в ахуе с этой игры. У вас что, игра нашлась?
Да,
Ебать, прикольно,
сука.
блядь. А я иду нахуй, да? Пиздец, блядь. Ну, типа, я играл на Азии, там вот точно такие же хуесосы, как ВК, типа, блядь. У меня же желание, блядь, от доты отпало. О, еще минус 29 дало. Охуенно. 6400.
Ебать.
Так я, блядь, и не играю уже толком. Типа, ну, во что, блядь? Пиздец. Да, я вот и играл, но там конченые выблядки. Я не Так я тоже обычно как бы релаксирую, но когда я увижу таких выблядков, типа, ну, нахуй они родились вообще, блядь? Типа, ну ничего, псо вообще, блядь. Ну, я так, блядь, мне там, ебать, список надо расширять. Мгм. Вот, окей, ладно, блядь. Воскресенье. Обычный день.
Да забери своих крипов ебаных, долбоёбина на пудже, блядь. О, бесит меня, сука, уёбок этот нахуй. Прям хуесос на пудже.
перемога.
Да ты охуел, я бы сказала. Не, ну если без данных, то похуй вообще, а так вообще надо, да. Да, я заметил. Бай.
Кому свежих ребрышек?
Угу. Да долбоёб он ебаный, нахуй. Прям придурок, сука. Тридцатый инвокер, блядь. Ну. Да, мне завтра на работу. Давай, спокойной ночи.